What's up with it? What's up with it? It's called popping off in his mind right quick with the um, Diehardfan show. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late, um, but I'm gonna get into this um, topics today real fast. Sorry, I'm a little bit off kilter. Been in a rush today. You know how it is when you get in a rush and you need to just slow down a little bit. Um, man, it's a lot to process today as far as all of the games. Um, as far as all the games and stuff today. Last week, first thing I want to talk about is TCU. It's the People's Coach, yours truly, Cornelius Cole, and it's the Die Hard Fan Show. But I want to talk about TCU, man. What a letdown. TCU really just let us down, y'all. Um, yeah, TCU just crashed. They crashed on the job. Um, I don't know. I don't know why they crashed on the job like they crashed, but that was like the utmost ridiculous game I ever seen. I'm bringing you this show uh, from Durham, North Carolina. What's up to everybody out there? Um, but TCU, why did they choke? Um, that expression, the moment was too big for them. I mean, Georgia just, but to go into a championship game and to lose, I get it, you lost, but to lose by such a wide margin, man, like a ridiculous margin. Not only that, the worst loss in bowl history. I expected TCU to do better than that. I was rooting for TCU. Um, yeah, it was just so disappointing. Thanks to Sports for America for putting me on. It's the People's Coach, yours truly, Cornelius Cole, Die Hard Fan Show. Um, I don't know what else to say about TCU. I know that they gave it a good effort in the semifinals, but they didn't do the same when it came down to the game, um, the big game. But shouts out go to Georgia and everything. And remember, I told you, so remember about a month or so ago, a month and a half ago, I was on this very show and I was telling you about the quarterbacks. I told you I was hinting that it gives you an advantage. And the funny thing is, I was hearing that very same thing today on ESPN. One of the shows on ESPN was talking about that very same thing. See, if you listen to me, but where you shouldn't listen to me is that TCU lost. I wasn't expecting them to lay an egg the way that they did. At least could have made it competitive. But it just seemed like, how good is Georgia? That's a question I have. How good is Georgia? Is Georgia really that good? Is Georgia really that dominant? Um, well, they struggled against Ohio State, so they beat Michigan and they got in the game. But from start to finish, it just looked like Georgia was just a better team, and I think that it was Georgia said they wasn't gonna play with nobody else. Um, very disturbing game. I, I wasn't expecting I was expecting a competitive game, and of course, I was expecting TCU to win the thing. I wasn't expecting them to go in there and get blown out the way they got blown out. But such is life, right? Sometimes it happens. Um, I think the biggest takeaways for that game is um, Georgia is on Alabama neck, man. You know what I'm saying? But how good are they going to be in the future? Like, are they going to be able to recruit and keep that up? I think the transfer portal is going to have a little something to say about that. But right now, no doubt. And back to back champions, it's hard to do it back to back. But can they three-peat? Can Georgia possibly three-peat? You don't know who their quarterback is going to be or whatever, but can they possibly three-peat? You know, That'll be something interesting to watch to see if they can three-peat. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. You never know. Um, but give it up again for TCU. But very disappointing. Ain't high five. Like if I knew guys, I ain't high fiving nobody. No pats on the back for that effort. You gotta. It's like Georgia took the heart from them right away. And as a person who has been known to have heart, um, you know, that's what the body language, the look, the body language, everything was saying. At first, it was nerves, and then it was just we didn't gave up. I mean, not too many was putting forth an effort. Um, I mean, Georgia good, but they ain't that good. Come on, now. 50 some points. Like it was 65-7 or whatever it was. I mean, anyway, season. Hopefully, it's more competitive. I hope TCU gives it another run, but you never know who's gonna pop up next. Might see Colorado there one season. Dion, I don't know. I'm just playing. But again, give credit to the Georgia Bulldogs. They did what they had to do. Everybody's talking about their head coach because he was an assistant to Nick Saban, but I think sometimes the student hasn't caught the master yet. So we'll see what happens in the long run. But I think sometimes when you work for a guy for a while, or you worked under someone for a while, you studied and studied. So then you know the processes that it takes. And it took a long time for Georgia to start winning. They've been knocking, and now 2 years in a row, they doing the thing. Um, Other things I want to get into before I get into that NFL. You see I'm repping them Houston Oilers today, the old school Houston team. But before I get there and talk about that, let me start off talking. The NBA right now is it really fun to watch? I mean, it's a lot of offensive firepower. It's a lot of good games recently. Um, but what I wanted to do before I jump into the NFL was talk about the coaching in the NBA, talk about coaching in sports, period, on all levels. Um, Coaches, man, some get all of the privileges, like if your last name Harbaugh, you get all of the privileges, particularly Jim. Everybody's looking for you, you know. And if you're some of these other coaches, you one and done. The disparity between, I mean, what drives that? What makes a coach valuable? What makes someone never coached before? What makes someone want? I mean, those things. What makes someone want someone that's been around a while? Uh, not Jim Harbaugh specifically, but it's just not getting it done. You see a lot of different leagues. Remember Mike D'Antoni in the pros constantly able to find another team to coach for. I think he coached for the Phoenix Suns, the New York Knicks, the Houston Rockets, and his teams were always decent regular season records, but in the postseason, just couldn't get over the hump a lot of the times. There's always something missing or something wrong, and then he didn't coach defense at all. I mean, you could just see it. He wasn't trying to play defense. It was all offense, thinking that you're going to win with all offense. That doesn't work for anybody though. But then Tony, his name kept coming up and kept coming up, and then at some point, I'm like, man, you better not get another job when there's other coaches out there. Get somebody else a shot. So when do you come to, like when do organizations come to those conclusions that it's time for some new blood, it's time for some new faces, fresh faces, something different? You know, I see the trends. Like if you talk NFL, you see the trends. NBA have a trend also. They going a little bit younger with coaches. And what Madula's doing over there for the Celtics, that's going to open the door for more younger coaches, younger, fresher coaches. I like the Tyronn Lue's. But coaching in the NBA right now, doesn't seem to be that they can communicate defense. You remember Clifford for the Hornets, which, by the way, I don't think he should be the coach of the Hornets. I mean, MJ, listen to me. Give Mark Jackson or somebody a call, man. Turn that organization around. You're gonna waste LaMelo's great years. You're gonna waste LaMelo's talent with what you're doing, man. You gotta bring somebody in that's gonna coach that squad up that they're gonna listen to. You know, that's key. But you heard Clifford saying it's about defensive effort, and I try to communicate it to my team, but they not listening. Well, they don't like you, bro. Your team's not listening because look at your approach. I mean, for real, it's like um, talking coaches. Bill Belichick, is he at the end of his rope? I mean, I don't know. I can't put what happened to New England season is specifically on Bill Belichick. What I'm saying is sometimes like to only live in that comfort zone, to only want people that worked for him before and all that stuff. That's that's crazy to me. Um, sometimes you got to think outside the box. You got to give somebody else a chance. I don't know though. Really and truly, I didn't like the I didn't like the way it out for the Patriots, but we'll come back to that. Let's stick with the coaching real quick and the managing in baseball and all that stuff. The effective managing, like Dusty Baker, man. How long did it take him to finally get that elusive championship? Like, guy's been a solid coach. A solid manager. Players seem to adapt to his style of managing. Seem to want to go all out for him. Those are the things. Like, if you're a coach and your team's not going all out for you, something's wrong. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm tired of the talk already about Sean Payton. Here's my thing. Sean Payton, the man got one Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy got one Super Bowl. I keep hearing him associated with the Dallas Cowboys and the Chargers specifically. Now, Brandon Staley, I can see you wanting to replace him, but here it is right here. He got one Super Bowl like Mike McCarthy. They both got decent records, regular season or whatever, but they both have had their issues in the postseason since winning Super Bowls. Here it is. I hear all this talk about Sean Payton. Sean Payton don't coach defense. His teams are notorious. They notoriously fell short in New Orleans because of specifically on the defensive side. And when they did get a defense, he walks away. Like, when they did get a decent defense, he didn't have an offense at that particular point. I mean, here's my thing. All this talk about this coach, why are they hyping him up so much? Like he's the greatest thing since like bread is not. I mean, that's my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just a fan. I'm just saying, like, show me the proof. He coached Drew Brees. Okay, a Hall of Fame quarterback, no doubt. So he can do that for Herbert, make him a Hall of Fame quarterback, but it's not going to equate. I thought the name of the game was winning championships. I thought it was winning the chip. The man got one chip. McCarthy got one chip. I mean, so I don't want to hear that talk. As a Dallas fan, I don't want to hear that talk. As a Cowboy fan, I don't want to hear that talk about Sean Payton. What is he going to do differently? What is he going to do differently that's going to get him over the hump? I mean, like I said, he ain't really had defense. He had one championship run. And as I recall, that was after the Hurricane Katrina, which pretty much seemed like, I ain't going to say they was given that championship because everything's earned, but, it can be inferred that, things fell in their favor. It ain't fallen in their favor after that. It ain't fell in their favor since. I mean, I'm just saying, all this hype about Sean Payton in Dallas, I don't want to hear. Let him go to LA. Let him go to LA because he ain't going to bring championships there. And that's a fact. I mean, as far as right now, standing, where's the proof that he's going to come there and be a championship coach? I get tired of all the talk about how they hype up certain people and they don't look at other directions. I would rather have a D'Amico Ryans or somebody fresh like that. Look at what he's doing. Look at that defense that he got out there with San Fran. Look at that defense he got out there with San Fran. I mean, his defensive coordinator bring that heat like that. I'd rather somebody like that, some fresh blood. I'd rather, find some of these other young offensive coordinators and stuff like that. I don't want to hear that talk about Sean Payton going to the Dallas Cowboys. So stop it. I mean, this guy, he ain't won nothing, but he won one Super Bowl. We got a coach that won one Super Bowl. We got a coach that can get us to the playoffs every year. Mike McCarthy can get us to. That's what Sean Payton did with New Orleans, and he didn't get them come there every year, if you recall. So they always fall short of the mark for some reason. So let them go to LA. Let them please go to LA. Do not come to Dallas. Do not come to Dallas. Go to LA, Sean. I mean, all that hype around this one coach. For what? Where's a track record that he can win? You know, where's a track record that he can win consistently and do it? I mean, just because he can coach a quarterback, um, you know, how many coaches did Peyton Manning have? He's still Hall of Fame. I mean, think about that. Think about that. I'm just saying, like, look how many coaches did Peyton Manning have? For real. Like, if we want somebody, what about Lil Bill? Is Lil Bill ever gonna try to leave up under his daddy wing over there? I'd rather see Lil Bill Belichick. No, his name's Steve Belichick, but I'd rather see Lil Belichick or something. Get some fresh blood. Why his name ain't been tossed around. I like the D'Amico Ryans. I like Eric B. Enemy. I take Eric B. Enemy. Somebody fresh, something new. Something new, something different. It's a few other offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators out there that are different. Now, I want to talk about the season, the way the season ended. And I'm going to start with the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to start with the Dolphins. Before the season started, preseason and everything, back in August, I was saying that Tua wasn't proven. Okay, Tua proved himself as a quarterback in the league. But Miami snuck into the playoffs. And here's the problem that I have with Miami specifically. They can spin the narrative however they want, but they dropped the ball on that. Somehow, you threw that on that doctor or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, you threw it on the medical professional. But something really funny about the whole Tua situation, because the more I listen, the more I pay attention. They keep talking about it twice. I've seen the guy 3 times. Not 3 head injuries or whatever, but 3 times he was affected. The first time when he went down, then the following week he tried to play. And then, this last time where they say he wasn't exhibiting any symptoms, but then he confessed or whatever that something was wrong. He spoke up and said that something was wrong. But here's my thing. Miami is like what Brian Flores was talking about. You played that whole lottery game. I mean, not lottery, but you played that whole first round pick game, tanking games and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden you want to act like you're really trying to win. Well, we know you're not. We know that you have no choice because the spotlight is on you, but we know you would have continued with what you was doing if it wasn't for that. And then you bring in all these players to play. And I'm laughing at Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill opened his mouth. See, that's why you don't talk and you go out there and perform, because you never know what's going to happen. Now, nobody's happy that Tua got hurt and nobody's happy about injuries, but it shows you something, people. It shows you, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. Tyreek Hill should have figured out a way to get his money there and stay there and keep winning. You're gonna gamble on Miami, bro. I mean, I don't understand it. The Dolphins ain't won since what, the 70s. The Dolphins ain't won since the 70s. They haven't proved that they want to win either. I mean, so why would you jump on that train? It's a lot of people that switch and they say, "Oh man." I even heard today. I heard the most ridiculous thing, that before Tua got injured or whatever, they playing a bowl like football. No, we're not. They were playing good ball in the regular season here and there. But as I recall, they lost like 2 or 3 of Tua's last 3 games or whatever. They were tanking, and not on purpose either. They were just getting beat. I mean, it's just one of those things that you say, "Oh, they want to say what if." What's up with it? Thank you, boss. Thanks, Con, man. But it's just one of those things that I want to see personally. I want to see teams like the Dolphins step up. Now, the Patriots hurt my feelings. And this is why. They should have had that 7 seed in the playoffs. And they blew it in that Raider game. That Raider game came back to haunt them. That Bills game, losing the Bills game, which in my mind, they lost ridiculously. It was just ridiculous. How you gonna give a guy? How you gonna give up 2 kickoff returns. That's not Bill Belichick. Like, but you got to put that on the players. That's not on the coach. Coach give you everything to be successful. Now think about this: if you take away those two kickoff returns, then you could say that New England was winning the game 23-21. I mean, they had the Bills up against the ropes if it wasn't for those, you know. And then the interceptions by Mac Jones, the regression of Mac Jones was ridiculous. I mean, I thought this young man was going to take Bill, keep Bill in the running, but it seemed like the Patriots got a lot of work to do. It's not just coordinators and stuff like that, but it's the players. That one bonehead play in the Raider game cost them a postseason. But nobody's mentioning that. So, it's the Die Hard Fan Show with yours truly, the People's Coach, Cornelius Cole. And why I'm going to take a second, I'm going to give a shout out to Sports for America for putting me on. J&J Professional Transportation Services. Got to give them a shout out. But I think the biggest disappointments and letdowns for the season to me, Lovie Smith. Let me go ahead and go there. Let me go ahead and get that. Let me get that out the way right quick. Lovie Smith, man, what they did to Lovie was embarrassing. That's why I'm rocking Houston Oilers. Notice no Texans. I told y'all before the Texans is a shady organization. I told y'all the complaints about them were spot on. Everything about that organization that has been said has been showing its ugly faces these days. You got to realize, I mean, that's just ridiculous to fire a man after 1 year after not giving him anything to work with, and to fire him for winning the game. Everybody knows that the writing's on the wall. You wanted the first overall pick. You didn't get the first overall pick. So then you fired a guy for winning the game. Yes, definitely treated unfairly. Definitely not. Definitely not a good look even. And it's so hard for minority coaches to get jobs in the NFL to begin with, and then you do a guy like that. I mean, come on, where it goes, like it goes beyond their need. I don't understand. I guess I'll never understand thinking of some of these owners within or some of these organizations, and it's like to have that many coaches already, they just running through coaches. But back-to-back years, one and done coaches. And yes, it's definitely a lot of dysfunction within that organization. I think that's why JJ Watt wanted out. That's why Watson wanted out. Everybody wanted to win. And while I'm at it, happy retirement to JJ Watt. Man, only wish you could have got you a ring or something. You could have played on a championship squad or something, or a more competitive squad. But that's the way the ball bounces sometimes. But JJ did have a impressive career. Is he Hall of Fame? I think if he doesn't make Hall of Fame, it'll be cited because of some of the injuries in his prime. But other than that, I think he's, I think JJ, I think it was proven when they, I mean, what, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year or something like that. I think him and Aaron Donald have those tags, like 3-time Defensive Players of the Year. I mean, I think that's pretty special what he did. What he did on the field. No doubt left it all out there. Sacrificed themselves. Took a lot of injuries. Spent a lot of time. So shout out to JJ Watt. Now back to the Texans real quick. Before I get off the Texans, that's my home. That's my home. That's my birthplace. That's always home in my heart. And to see a professional organization that dysfunctional, that disappointing, it's something that I never thought I'd see. Bring back the Oilers, baby. Nah, I'm just playing. But for real, love your blue. Like, yeah, get better. And I wonder if the NFL has any remedies for moving forward in the future for the things that they've done. You know, I wonder if there's any way that there'll be any repercussions for the things they've done other than not getting the first overall pick. Um, that they obviously wanted. I mean, but to one guy to lose a game, I mean, I like Lovey for the mic drop. That was a perfect mic drop. We're gonna go out here and we're gonna win or lose. You know, he left it up to chance, go for the 2-point conversion. That was sweet. And to pull it off, because that's pride with the players. Players ain't out there to lose, man. What show me a player that want to lose, and then you can show him the door, man. You know, or you can escort him out the building. Like he shouldn't even be in your locker room. A player that wants to lose. I don't know too many players. I don't know too many players that want to lose. Players are prideful. I mean, you putting it all out there, and think about it. I was talking coaches earlier, so excuse me, coaches for me this season. In the running for coach of the year in my mind. This is Diehard Fan show. So as a Diehard fan looking at the coaches, exactly players P. Looking at the coaches this season, I like what Brian Dayball is doing for the Giants. I mean, they're in the playoffs, which I think they got a good shot to beat Minnesota. I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but for me, coach of the year, it's got to be Kyle Shanahan, right? 3 different quarterbacks, finished the season off winning 10 or 11 straight, however many games in a row. It's got to be Kyle Shanahan, right? Like, that's impressive. And let's not forget about, a close second would be Doug Peterson. The only, going from where the Jacksonville Jaguars came from, last season, the things that they went through with the Urban Meyer and all that, and the last couple of seasons actually, from worst to first in that division, and having a chance, finishing with a 9-8 record. That's the only reason I'm leaning toward. And you can't forget Sirianni for the Eagles. However, I just think it's impressive when 3 quarterbacks. You played 3 different quarterbacks this year. And you keep rolling over teams. That's an impressive job by me being a Dallas Cowboy fan. I don't want to see him take it all away. I don't want to see him go all the way to the Super Bowl and win that, because I want the Cowboys to win, of course. But I'm just saying, Shanahan, man, you got to take hats off to a coaching job like that. To me, that's spectacular coaching right there. Like being able to balance it. That's why I like Mike. That's why I like what Mike McCarthy did this year, as far as playing without your quarterback. Cooper Rush had to start those games to keeping the team afloat. I mean, you got to say that's pretty impressive when you can go to your backups, when you can go to when you can go to your backups and your team is still effective, and your team still finds a way to get wins and things like that. You saw what happened. That's why I don't say Sirianni, is because the losses that they took, the losses that the Eagles have were pretty much without Jalen Hurts, except for the one. The other 2 losses came without him, and it seems like they can't function without Jalen Hurts. It seems like the coach can't function either without Jalen Hurts. Still trying to run the same offense with Minshew, when you should tone it down a little bit, perhaps lean a little bit more on your traditional running game and things like that. But you see what a coach is really made of. That's why I say hats off to Shanahan, hats off to McCarthy, not just because I'm a Cowboy fan, but I think he did an impressive job. I actually didn't know McCarthy had that in him, especially after the season that got hurt, his first season, and then he went to Andy Dalton. I didn't think he had that in him to be able to coach up a squad to still be able to win without the starting quarterback. Because he always had Aaron Rodgers. One thing you can say about Aaron Rodgers is durability. And now I'm going there. Man, forget Aaron Rodgers, man. Like, really? But shout out to the Lions. Dan Campbell did another good job. The Lions are going to be a force in the future. I can see that team making some noise. And Jared Goff, man, all it takes is somebody to believe in you, people. Sometimes, like Dan Campbell evidently has been in that whole coaching staff has been in Jared Goff's ear. Don't give up on yourself, young man. They gave up on you in LA, but we didn't give up on you. You came here, you know, and Jared Goff, I gotta, hats off to Dan Campbell for what he did, for coaching that squad. I mean, I was talking bad about the Lions. Remember, I was saying, they almost don't count, but they did a heck of a job, and they're knocking off their rivals in Green Bay. And this is what I want to say. My whole life, all I ever heard is, oh, the frozen tundra, how hard it is to go to Green Bay and win. When has it been difficult? It hasn't been difficult in my lifetime. Because even when Brett Favre was the quarterback, I saw Michael Vick go up there and beat him. I saw Eli Manning go up there and beat him. I mean, I'm saying, and then in the Aaron Rodgers reign, he always loses in Lambeau. They've had home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They've had home advantage throughout the playoffs. The Lions, yes. They're going to get better. The Aiden Hutchinson is good, Lions. I think they need a few more defensive pieces. Aaron Glenn, man, I used to love him as a player. I used to love Aaron Glenn as a player. And him being a defensive coordinator, it's impressive what he's doing. And I like I like even the animations on the sideline. I like the interaction with the players. I'm loving what I'm seeing from some of these coaches, but back to this Green Bay. I don't want to hear no more talk about how difficult it is to play in Lambeau when every time it comes down to a meaningful game in Lambeau, they get beat. I don't want to hear it. It's not that difficult. Evidently, ask San Fran, it's not that difficult. Ask Tampa Bay, it's not that difficult. Ask the Detroit Lions, it's not that difficult. Nobody wants to talk about Aaron Rodgers is a real good quarterback, but nobody wants to talk about him falling short year after year after year after winning one Super Bowl, and him being all arrogant and all that. You could tolerate all that stuff, but you see how he deflected real fast to the fact that he may be retiring, other than the fact that he went out there and got outplayed by Jared Goff. But it wasn't just him that got outplayed. His whole team got outplayed by the Detroit Lions. Detroit had me a little nervous at first, but I like their moxie. I like what they did. They came with it. Thank you. I just think that they have so many things to work out in Green Bay. It's not just Aaron Rodgers' situation. If I'm that staff, I'm really thinking defense. That's one of the things that I've always said about Green Bay. They never have enough on defense. You can say people were hurt. You can say they played a little bit better here and there, but they always don't have enough defense to stop somebody when you need to stop. And then the offense doesn't produce, especially in the last few years when it comes down to meaningful games. They don't produce. Somehow Aaron Rodgers, I think last week, my man Jerry was on here talking about Stephen A. Smith calling him a bad man, all that. For this guy to be such a bad man, he just falls short year after year and can't seem to put points on the board in meaningful games. Somehow they out scheme him. This guy should know every defense that's coming. I saw a play in that particular game that let me know that he was off his game a little bit. He rolled out or something. He stepped out of the pocket and he was holding the ball. It was a sack by Aiden Hutchinson that probably should have been a fumble, but they didn't call it a fumble. They said he was down. But anyway, it was like he didn't even feel that guy. It was like, how you can't feel him? Or at least see him out of your peripheral. Like, I was like, that's Aaron Rodgers? Like, this guy goes all out. I always go back to this playoff game that I went and saw in Lambeau Field and froze my behind off when he played against the Giants that year. Eli Manning and the Giants. And it was so cold that it was going into halftime. Everybody's going up. Everybody's going in. You turn your back. Next thing you know, Aaron Rodgers threw a touchdown. I missed the touchdown pass because everybody was going in. A lot of people missed it because we were all going in, and you think in those last seconds, what happened to that Aaron Rodgers? And why doesn't he do that all the time in very meaningful games? What's the problem? Those are the questions that, if I interview Aaron Rodgers, that's the question I would ask. Like, what's up with it? Like, why do you keep falling? Nobody asked him that question. Like, why do you keep falling short year after year? Like they put your name up there with Tom and Peyton and all those guys, deservingly so. But why do you fall short? The tough questions, like that was a question you as Marino. How can you be so good and have good pieces but never get it done? Especially when everything's in your favor. You playing at home. Uh, Detroit plays in a dome, but they were able to win. Anyway, other things that I took away from this season, a huge, besides the Rams, McVay talking about taking some time off, and I don't blame him. Seems like he may need a break. He got a lot of different things going on as far as life wise, and I know it could be mentally draining. But he won a Super Bowl, and then this year the team collapsed. But I don't think. I mean, here's my thing. He can say that he's going to reevaluate, but I don't think he wants to coach a squad that he has to build up from the ground up, that he has to start all over with again. And I told you guys, if you listen to me, Kingsbury. I thought maybe with the injury to Kyler Murray, his job would be saved, but it's good. It's good that he's out of there. Look, I don't root for people to lose their jobs or anything like that, but I'm saying the man can't coach. All that talent. You can't do nothing with the Cardinals. All that talent. Like, and then him beefing with Kyler, blatantly beefing with your quarterback. Blatantly, your quarterback don't have no respect for you and all that stuff. Yeah, it's not good. If your locker room leader don't have respect for you, it's not gonna work, bro. It's like, but Kingsbury, they gave him a shot, it didn't work. Sometimes it's trial and error, but hopefully the next coach comes in there and knows what they're doing, because you got all that talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You got great wide receivers. You got at least a Hall of Fame wide receiver. You got a great tight end. You got all the pieces right there. Decent running game. But all of that stuff falls apart somehow. It's like and not being able to adjust. Now, Kyler Murray is a different story. I'm not a huge fan of Kyler Murray. I thought he went way high in the draft and probably shouldn't, because, whatever happens in college happens, Heisman Trophy, whatever. In the pro game, you got to have something. Doesn't like his head cut off. No, he plays. Kyler Murray hasn't shown that he can make plays consistently. Taking some chances here and there. When you got D-Hop, of course you could throw it long and throw it up. That works sometimes. But when it really comes down to the skill level, yeah, it's about the system. You're exactly right. But it's also about the ability. I think that Kyler Murray would be an effective quarterback if, but you got to work on, but that comes with the player also. I'm saying he got to work on his skills. Like, if you want to be in the NFL, you got to work on the skill level. You got to have a little bit more to your game than just a rollout, and then being able to run here and there. We saw that with Justin Fields. They didn't give anything for Justin Fields to work with. And that's another thing too. Hearing that talk, Chicago should trade their picks or pick a quarterback in the first round. Pick Bryce Young in the first round and trade Justin Fields and all that. Chicago, you finally got a winner. You don't know what you're going to get out of Bryce Young. You don't know how his game is going to transition to the pros, but you got a winner in Justin Fields, and the man can throw the rock. He might have to need to work on accuracy and timing, but what is he timing? Who is he timing it with? Get him some pieces, put pieces around him. I would trade my first pick for other picks or something. I would do that, but I wouldn't get rid of Justin Fields, or let Justin Fields go, because I guarantee you the Jets would want Justin Fields right now. They would take him right now, and then they might go all the way. They might go all the way to the chip in a year or two with Justin Fields. With the right coach, that guy is going to be special. With the right tutelage, he's going to be special. He's going to be great no matter where he goes. So, with Chicago, you don't want to do that. You don't want to chance it. Remember the whole Mitch Trubisky thing? Y'all passed up a lot of good quarterbacks. Y'all could have had Mahomes. If I remember correctly, y'all could have had Mahomes. But y'all didn't do it. Y'all could have had like Josh Allen or somebody, but y'all didn't do it. It's like, don't be fools, Chicago. Stick with the guy that you got. Other things, Jerry Jones. When is he gonna sit down, man? I love my Dallas Cowboys, but when is Jerry Jones gonna sit down? And what I mean by sit down is we want to hear from. I mean, I'm tired of hearing from Jerry Jones about what he thinks about the team or whatever. I mean, you don't even hear from the other GMs as much as you hear from him. This talking about Justin Fields, talking about they first overall pick in the draft. It's the first time I've heard from polls or a GM. You don't really hear all this talk from the GMs most of the time. Ursay speaks a little bit ownership, owner, but Jerry Jones, man, you in the mic too much. Um, I get it, great marketing tool, great whatever, but man, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of deflating because your team see you. It's a different era. That stuff used to work back in the days because, in my mind, uh, players were about their business, but in these day and time where players got brands and all this stuff and they got all this other stuff to worry about, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. And yes, college height is a factor. Um, yeah. Um, Jerry, like actually he's like 80, right? He's like 80. And my point is he had extra pressure to his team when he doesn't even have to. Everybody knows the pressure of Dallas Cowboy. But he doesn't add the right kind of elements. See, a long time ago, they would have had other champions. He would have won championships with Tony Romo if he wouldn't have ticked off Bill Parcells and ran Bill Parcells out of the building. Those things are key. He would have. That's in my mind. As a fan, he would have had Romo would have had rings. He would have had rings. But he can, and then the whole Jason Garrett thing, and now you got a coach. You got a coach with a pedigree that could probably get this team to win, but it's all the way wrong. And to wrap up the season in, I love the playoff picture. The teams that are in, the 14 teams that are in is going to be some pretty good ball. But I also want to say another big to me, the Raiders. Um, Not happy with the coaching situation, but that's their business. If they want to keep Josh, then let them keep Josh. But look at what they did to Derek Carr. So I wanted to say, Derek Carr's career is not over. I'm not a fan of Derek Carr. I never thought that he could get it done, but um, there's going to be a couple of teams out there for Derek if they don't keep him. If the Raiders move away from him, it's going to be a couple of teams out there. I can see Derek Carr as a Colt with the Indianapolis Colts. I can see it because they love to get these quarterbacks that have been through it or that are pretty much almost done. Or whatever. But Carr still got a little life left, more life than Matt Ryan. He's better than Carson Wentz. So I can see him as a Colt. Of course, that's what Jerry's about. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You think Carr going to the Jets? I mean, the Jets. That would be another good place. That would be another good place for Carr, the Jets. And yeah, the Jets is a good. They're on the upswing now as an organization. I doubted the organization for a while, but it looks like they want to win now, so they all in on winning. And I think Carr, I think with Carr, a Carr or something like that, I think that would help them. But I was thinking, that's that man out there, Lamar Jackson. It's not looking good for the Ravens. It's not looking good. So I think if you can't get Lamar, then yeah, Derek Carr would be that would be a good fit. But if I'm the Jets, let's just be real. The Ravens are gonna franchise tag Lamar. They ain't gonna let him get out of the building that easy. They're not gonna let him get out of there that easily. So yeah, you're right. It's probably gonna be Carr, and that's a good place for him, the Jets. But I was just saying the Colts. I was just saying the Colts because they're gonna try to get them. They're gonna try to get somebody in there in Indianapolis. Um, but I think they got the fourth overall pick in the draft also, so they might lean towards the quarterback. Depends on who's there. Um, um, it seems like people hype on the Levitts out of Kentucky. Um, I didn't really get to see him play all that much. So I don't know how really good he is. I know Bryce Young's pretty good. If CJ Stroud's in the mix, but take a quarterback. They should not. It was brought to me that perhaps they shouldn't take a minority quarterback, a black quarterback, because it's the Houston Texans. Maybe they should go with Levis from Kentucky if he's on the board when it's their pick, just to just so it won't be the same. Who do I think? I think Garoppolo. Now I think Jimmy G. Um, I think Jimmy G. Colts. I thought maybe if you can't get Lamar, you got Jimmy and you got Derek Carr. So I was thinking maybe the Jets. See, I think he would be a better fit with the Jets because and this is why I think he's a better fit than Carr with the Jets, other than Lamar. Um, Garoppolo understands winning. The Jets were right there this year. They ready to win. Garoppolo understands winning, and nothing would be better to me than going over there and playing for the man that playing in the same division of the man that traded you in the first place, that had your hopes up that you were going to get the reins from Tom Brady, and so going over there and sticking it to good old Bill over there twice a year. I think Garoppolo would live for that. I think he would get up for the games. And plus, he's familiar with that division, the Dolphins and all of them, playing, being on the sideline watching them. I think Garoppolo is a better fit for the Jets. I like the Carr move to the Colts because you got a running game, which they had a running game. They got the best running back, by the numbers. They got the best running back in Vegas right now with Jake. But that wasn't enough. The other pieces and the coaching. The coaching is, but who knows who's going to coach the Colts? But I think you bring in a good coach, and then you bring in a Derek Carr, and you ride Taylor, get you a decent receiver. Which, by the way, I don't know why. The Colts made some crazy decisions. Maybe T.Y. Hilton didn't want to play back for the Colts or something because he looks all right. The little time he's been with the Cowboys, he looks all right. So I'm wondering why the Colts stepped away from that. That probably hit their offense a little bit. But you got to have somebody work on that offensive line. I think the Colts need an offensive line. They could do more than just run block. You got to be able to pass protect because you're going to have to pass it at some point. But as far as this season overall, it's been a great season. Some great things have happened. Brock Purdy, man, got a shout out. Brock Purdy did his thing. Now, going into this weekend's games, it's going to be quite a bit. NFL, yeah, it's going to be some good games this weekend. So who you got? This weekend is going to be great. I'm telling you right now, the first game off the rip, Seattle and San Fran. I know it's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, but I'm leaning towards an upset in that game. Not really. Kyle Shanahan's going to have them guys ready. They're going to ride Christian McCaffrey all the way. They're going to beat them again. And this is why they're going to beat them. The defense. If anybody saw that Thursday night game that they played against Seattle, they had Geno scared out of his mind. Now, he's talking with confidence. Like, he's not scared, but they had him scared. Oh, yeah, San Fran's going, they had him scared. Like, I'll say it again. I was never more happier for a guy. He was getting hit so much in that game that I was never so happy for a guy to get an intentional grounding penalty in my life. Like, that's not even a good thing, but he had to get that. He had to get that. Yeah, way too many weapons for San Fran. Just a better team, in my opinion. But the only thing is that they've won like 10, 11 straight. And all streaks come to an end. I hope, so you never know, division rival. But, They don't have a chance. San Fran gonna win that game. Chargers and the Chargers and the Jaguars. The Jaguars, only because like Peterson more than State. Yeah, I think the Chargers can win that game, but I think their coach is somehow going to cost them a win. He's been costing them wins. He's been costing them wins in games. I think they're going to stick with that formula. Um, but it's going to be a good game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers won it though, because now we get to see what Herbert can do. All this talk about Herbert, now we get to see what he can do. Um, they both have decent receiving cores. They both have, so I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be much defense in that game. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be competitive. But I'm taking the Jaguars. I'm taking the Jaguars, man. And then I'm looking at the Dolphins and the Bills on Sunday. Bills, hands down, Bills. Dolphins, they probably on third string quarterback. Even if Bridgewater, I think the Bills just gonna beat them. I mean, enough said about that game. And plus, the Bills trying to ride the whole Hamlin thing all the way to the Super Bowl. We'll get there another time, but I don't think that's going to be enough to get them a Super Bowl win. But I think it's going to be fuel for them to win at least this game. Giants, Vikings. I know the Giants are the NFC East rivals, but I'm taking the Giants in that game. And this is why. The Vikings cave all the time. Sorry to my former Minnesota residents. Sorry, but I think they're gonna cave again. Vikings, something always happen. I think Kirk Cousins is gonna turn the ball over a couple of times. Thibodeau and those guys gonna get after him. He gonna turn the ball over a couple of times. I think the formula of Daniel Jones and Saquon running the rock, that's going to be enough right there. Control the clock, run the rock. And I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win that game. Ravens, Bengals. No Lamar. You're taking the Vikings. Buffalo, yeah, Bills consist, but the Vikings, yeah. Good luck with that pick. I feel you though, because they should be the better team, but I still think the Giants gonna have something for them. I think they're gonna be more prepared. And the Ravens, Bengals, I'm taking the Bengals in that game. To me, it didn't even matter if Lamar plays. If he plays or if he played or if he didn't play, it didn't matter. I think Joe Burrow is the truth. He got a lot of weapons. And we saw what they just did to him already. So playing them back to back is going to be more the same. The Bengals going to win that game easily, in my opinion. Won't be much of a struggle, even though I used to like Baltimore's defensive intensity, but Burrow's just gonna find a way to win. Burrow proving that he's a fighter. Yeah, the Bengals. That's what I'm saying. Now the Cowboys, Buccaneers. Man, to have to play the GOAT at this time. I'm a Cowboy fan, so I'm going with the Cowboys. But that's not to say that the GOAT not going. That's not to say the GOAT going. He ain't going out without a fight. We know the GOAT ain't going out without a fight. We already know that. But I think somehow we get it done as long as the key thing to me is our defense got to rise to the challenge. Defense. Michael Parsons. I want to see a couple of sacks, a few sacks or something. I want to see the defense get after it. I'm tired of hearing the defense. We've been hearing noise, and then fell off a little bit. No, where you at? No plays off. Like taking no plays off, like I've seen throughout the season by some of these big name defensive players on the Dallas Cowboys. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. It's time to bring it. Yeah, so that's who so that's what I'm rocking with. Tampa all the way. You're right about the turnovers, but and like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the GOAT got it done, but I'm taking the Cowboys in that one. I gotta ride. I gotta ride Cowboy up. Um, and that's pretty good because that's the Monday night game. That's all the games. Yeah, we covered all the games. Now with the last few minutes of the show, uh, after watching this season, certain players really, besides Brock Purdy, um, certain players really put their stamp on the season. Justin Jefferson showed what he could do, but um, ain't no shutting you down, man. Like, he was shut down a couple of times. If they ain't double, triple teaming you and your other players getting off or whatever, that's different. But to be shut down, I don't want to see that no more. The fact that you could shut Justin Jefferson down is another reason why I'm not picking the Vikings. Like, it's been proven that you can shut him down. Um, no, you can't. Like you couldn't shut Cooper Cup down. The only thing that shut Cooper Cup down was injuries. Guys always open, no matter what kind of defense they throw them. I'm just saying the great ones. Take a page from Jerry Rice and all that stuff. The great ones, you can't shut them down. So Justin Jefferson, he was great this year at particular times, and um, the Bills, man. Um, what can you say other than Josh Allen has a cannon? Now, my MVP for the regular season is Patrick Mahomes, only because they talked all that noise about him losing um, Tyreek Hill and how that was going to affect. All he did was have his best season ever by yardage, be number one, had the number one offense in the league, had the number one scoring offense in the league. All he did was throw for 41 touchdowns, run for another 4 or 5 or whatever he did, and throw for 5,200 yards or whatever. That's all Patrick Mahomes did. Man, it's ridiculous. He said Tyreek who? He said Tyreek who? That was the same thing, by the way. Not to take shots, but yeah, to take a shot. That's what Aaron Rodgers thought he was going to do without Devontae Adams. Right there, what Patrick Mahomes did. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP, whether you like it or not. I like what Jalen Hurts did. Like I said before, Jalen Hurts would be, uh, he would be more of my, most improved player or whatever, and comeback player of the year for me would be Geno Smith. Geno, man. They're gonna get their butt kicked by San Fran this weekend, but take nothing away from what Geno did. Let's face it, he had some big shoes to fill. Russell Wilson, Russell Wilson was a legend up there in Seattle, and to step in and do what he did and to be given another chance. I like the whole story right there with Geno, but I like the fact that he did it. Now, defensive player of the year, even though he didn't play the whole season, but his impact is huge. I gotta go with Bosa, man. I gotta go with one of the Bosa brothers, the one in San Fran, though. Gotta go with Bosa. I gotta say, defensive player of the year, Bosa. Uh, that's for me, for my money, yeah. Him just being out there and then watching him, he's relentless. He's relentless getting after the quarterback. Um, Constantly coming, constantly in the quarterback's face. Just watch the way that whole defense is good. One of the best I've seen in recent years. But it's Bosa hands down. Early on it was all these different players, but I don't think anybody else has had the impact that he's had. Like, look at the difference. They were struggling without him, and then when he came back, instantly that defense got right. They got right. Like, and the guy has no stopping him. He has no quitting him, affecting plays even when he doesn't get to the quarterback. Um, just constant pressure. Um, how you gonna block him? How you gonna stop him if you can't chip him and nothing gets in his way? How you gonna stop that? Got to be a little bit quicker getting the ball out or something. But you can't move quick enough. Um, that whole defense to me is really good. But Bosa is the defensive player of the year. And I guess what am I missing? I guess Right before I get out of here, another shout out to Sports for America for putting me on. Also, you know, don't forget to check out my other show, the Stimulate Your Mind show on the radio, iHeart, Apple Music, WDRB Media. Um, the Stimulate Your Mind show every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Uh, Light rocking with y'all. It's been a great season. We'll be back next week to talk about the playoffs, who made it, who didn't. And Con, man, I'm still. I hope you're wrong about that Tampa game. I hope you're wrong about that. Yes, Bosa is a beast. Y'all have a good one.